Well, thank you so much, O'Brien, back in Nairobi. We are coming to you live from one of the streets from the lakeside. This is a day that Kenyans have been waiting so eagerly. They want to know that the Cabinet Secretary, what the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury, that is John Buddy, has in that famous briefcase within the day, that is in the afternoon, when he will be making his to the give the country's financial framework for the financial year 2025-2026. And of course, just like on what that brief that not governance issues, of course, and these estimates, in as much as the cabinet secretary will be laying them bare to us this day, they have been with us for quite some time now, and we basically have a rough idea of what the estimates look like. And Alfayo, if you just move here and look into the camera, as a resident of Kisumu, what do you make of the budget this year? What do you expect to see when CS John Buddy makes his way to the parliament? What is your major expectation this day?
Thank you very much. My name is Ngoro Alfayo. I'm quite privileged to be here with you people today. Of course, we know what is in the budget that our Cabinet Secretary for Finance, Buddy, is going to table in Parliament today. I want to say that today's budget is 4.2 trillion. That is a slight improvement as compared to the last year, which was 3.6 trillion. Definitely, we know as much as we have the 4.2 trillion, we need accountability on this fund. The reason as to why the budget is there within the government is mostly to focus on education, is mostly to focus on economic empowerment, is mostly to focus on infrastructure, is mostly to focus on our roads, which are basically also the infrastructure I'm talking about. It also has to talk about the agriculture sector. It talks about so many things that needs to empower the common mwananchi. Yes.
This region is known for is majorly inhabited by the fishing community, and also on the other side, rice farming, cane farming are quite big in this region. What aspects of agriculture would you want to see this budgeting dwelling much on?
Thank you so much. Me, definitely, I come from Kisumu County, whereby we have agriculture as economic activity. We have fishing also as an economic activity. We want the government definitely mostly to dwell on the sugar factories. We've been having challenges with the sugar factories in Nyanza, not necessarily in Nyanza, but the entire country. You find the government has privatized, initially they privatized these sugar factories, but so far they have leased it. We wanted a situation whereby when we have funds, we would love to request the government to allocate funds to the government, to the sugar industry, so that they themselves, they manage the sugar industries and not to be leased to the individuals. Because once it is leased to the individuals has got the interest. And the interest is them to make profit and not to empower the common mwananchi. You will find that all these workers that are working in the sugar industries, they will be underpaid. Their welfare will not be looked into. Mostly they'll be serving the interest of the employer and not the employee. Thank you so much. And secondly, about the fishing industry, we love the budget to cater for the building of the fishing hubs in the lake region that will foster the employment within this region to our youth and also to empower the economic of the area.
All right, Alfai, just hold it right there, because as we even as we talk about the budget, I'm told that the president is currently having a function in Mombasa. And on this note, I would want to take our viewers right there to listen into what the president has to say regarding the function that is underway in Mombasa. But hold it right there, Alfai, because we'll be back to you to pick your view regarding the budget later on. But on this note, to the viewers, let me take you straight to Mombasa for that function where the president is currently addressing.
Of transnational organized crime continues to grow in scale and complexity. Crimes such as money laundering, terrorism, and terrorism financing, including human trafficking, pose serious and escalating risks to our countries, our regions, and to the global community. The perpetrators of these crimes operate under borders, across borders, moving people, goods, and illicit money through shadowy networks, whether by smuggling narcotics between nations or trafficking vulnerable individuals across continents and laundering dirty money through intricate offshore systems. We therefore need greater vigilance, more robust partnerships, and integrated international responses to identify, investigate, and prosecute those behind these crimes. It is through such collaboration between national, regional, and international agencies that we can effectively disrupt and neutralize these threats and blunt their negative impacts. To underscore the gravity of this challenge, allow me to briefly reflect on Kenya's experience in this space. Terrorism, one of the most dangerous forms of transnational organized crime, continues to pose a persistent and evolving threat to our nation and region. Kenya has endured several devastating attacks, including the 1998 United States Embassy bombing in Nairobi, the 2013 Westgate Mall siege, as well as the 2015 Garissa University and the 2019 Dusit II complex attacks. However, through heightened vigilance, enhanced intelligence, and strengthened international cooperation, Kenya has made notable progress in bringing perpetrators to justice. Just last month, 2 individuals were found guilty of aiding the Dusit II attackers, and sentencing is scheduled for June 19th this year. In the Garissa University case, the courts in 2019 found 3 individuals culpable and were sentenced to life imprisonment and 41 years each. Currently, 24 terrorism-related cases remain active before our courts, the majority involving membership in international terrorist organizations. These efforts have not only led, but have also significantly suppressed such attacks and contribute to enhanced national security. In addition, a total of 720 cases involving trafficking in children and other persons, unlawful acquisition of travel documents, fraud and misrepresentation, facilitating illegal entry into or exit from countries, interfering with travel documents and personal effects, and trafficking in persons for purposes of organized crime were reported between 2021 and 2024. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has also registered 30 money laundering cases in the last 3 years. An in-depth analysis of these cases show that the perpetrators and criminal networks operate across multiple jurisdictions and have a presence on social media platforms. In addition, financing, facilitation, and commission are transboundary in nature. For instance, during the Dusit terrorism attack, financing was traced to banks in South Africa, various banks within Kenya, and Somalia. Furthermore, criminal networks have evolved their modus operandi. In human trafficking cases, often terrorists pose as victims to facilitate the movement across borders. They also operate through sophisticated, encrypted social media platforms and increasingly use cryptocurrency to finance their activities. These cases underscore the scale and complexity of the threat we face and the urgency of sustained and coordinated action. Therefore, the theme of this conference, Building Partnerships, a united front against transnational organized crimes, could not be more timely. It reflects the critical need for prosecutorial agencies to develop regional, and international mechanisms to collaboratively address emerging threats. No single agency or country can confront these complex crimes in isolation. Through the exchange of knowledge and best practice, we are better able to understand the legal nuances across jurisdictions and craft innovative approaches for effective investigations and prosecutions. Mutual legal assistance and extradition remain vital pillars of this effort. They provide formal pathways for cross-border information sharing. Joint investigations allow for real-time collaboration and pooled expertise, enabling us to dismantle criminal networks more effectively. I am aware that the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions in Kenya has signed MOUs with various prosecutorial agencies, including Azerbaijan, Morocco, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. These partnerships are instrumental in enhancing collaboration on matters relating to terrorism and terrorism financing, transnational organized crime, and in building the capacity of prosecutors to respond more effectively to these complex threats. We must also work towards the harmonization of legal frameworks, align national laws across jurisdictions is essential to building a truly global front against transnational organized crime. Equally important is the vigorous pursuit of asset tracing, confiscation, and forfeiture. Denying criminal enterprises the proceeds of their illicit activities is key to undermining their operations. I challenge the heads of prosecution agencies here to give priority to this particular endeavor. On our part, Kenya is committed to enhancing the resources and capacity of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions to lead these efforts both regionally and internationally. Importantly, the revamping of our anti-money laundering and asset forfeiture framework is a testament to our commitment. It reflects our pursuit of greater specialization, stronger institutions, and high-quality investigations. The government of Kenya remains committed to upholding the rule of law and advancing a human rights-centered approach to prosecution and pursuit of justice. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference has offered a valuable platform to share experiences, learn from one another, and explore innovative solutions to the emerging threats facing our countries. I look forward to the recommendations from this gathering and assure you of the Government of Kenya's full support in funding and empowering the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions.
Well, that is President William Ruto addressing members of or delegates attending the 23rd Commonwealth Heads of Prosecuting Agencies who are meeting there to have a look at the state of prosecuting. And of course, once we get a stable link, we should be going back there. But we are back in studio here just to have a conversation around the upcoming budget speech, which is coming up for reading today at around 3 p.m. Inside the National Assembly. And of course, our reporters are there to of course help us get a feeling of what is happening here. So we're also keeping an eye on different areas of the city, and of course we want to go back to the county of Kisumu, where our reporter Wycliffe Okech, is catching up with the people from the lakeside city of Kisumu just to get a glimpse of what they are talking about. Wycliffe, if you can hear me, what's up?
Well, thank you so much, Brian. Before we went to Mombasa for that function by the president, I was engaging one of the residents here in Kisumu regarding the budget that the Cabinet Secretary, C.S. Mbadi, will be presenting to the nation through the National Assembly, of course. And Alfayo, before we took this very short break to Mombasa, we were talking about the place of the fisherfolk and also those engaging in farming in Kisumu regarding sugarcane and also rice. Do you feel they have a place within this budget? Because in one of the town halls that the CS has been holding with the citizens in the country, he's been saying this budget is a common man's budget. Do you believe so?
Entirely, that one depends with the CS finance, because his mandate is to allocate funds for the development of our regions. So far as we speak, I was talking about the fishing hubs that we have in Nyanza region. That is an economic activity that we are having. But at the moment, we don't have factories for the coolants of our fish from those who are fishing from the lake. Then we are headed nowhere economically in terms of the empowerment of our youth, in terms of the economic upgrading. Yes.
Like I've mentioned it, the CS has been quite synonymous mentioning this budget to be common man's budget. And this is orchestrated by the fact that there are no new taxes that have been introduced in this finance bill. From where you sit as a resident of Kisumu, do you believe this?
Not really. Allow me say this. The government, they have a misplaced priority. For example, badala waweke pesa kwa mahospitali zetu, au wanachukua pesa, wanaweka pesa kwa maneno ya mtandao, like allocating 2.5 billion shillings to the social media industries. We have government agencies that are to take care of that. It's not the government to allocate money for those people, to trace our people, to kill our people, to maim our people.
I'm not sure.
That is the misplaced priority that we are facing with the government.
Yeah, sorry, it may be a misplaced priority, but then I wouldn't think this is the motive behind allocating money to the DCI for monitoring this social media. I don't think it's for to track and maim people. But then again, this budget, you see that in the allocations, the estimates that we have seen so far is that education takes the largest chunk. Are we getting right?
Yes, it takes the largest chunk. That is 700 million that is allocated to the education.
Billion?
And allow me say this, sir. When it comes to the education, that was the number one policy agendas for the Kenya Kwanza government. Free primary and secondary education. The university model funding. Those are the issues that the government needs to tackle. For example, when you look at the capitation in our secondary schools, it was reduced, meaning we are not going to get free primary education. This is the area where the president and the budget chairman, CS, needs to focus mostly on. So I would love to tell the president that let the capitation for our national, for the education sector be increased so that our children goes to school without paying anything.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Alfayo. Thank you so much. Well, O'Brien, that is one of the residents of the lakeside city of Kisumu here, who has been quite, is well conversant with governance issues, of course, and you've heard me mention that issues relating to agriculture and the fishing community need actually to be integrated into that particular budget, because remember, this is a regime that was elected on the back of pledges to uplift the Wanjiku, the Onyangos, the common Wananchi. At that time, they were termed Mama Bogas and the people, the border people. And of course, that is what he's saying, that the budget should be primed on that very basis. Well, this is not the end. I know this is an engagement that is going to continue throughout the day. But on this note, I would like to hand it back to you in studio for the rest of the coverage of this particular issue. O'Brien.
Well, thank you very much. Wycliffe Okech, in the sunny lakeside city of Kisumu. I mean, it's look all beautiful. We're back in Nairobi.